I know. There's a lot going on in this first frame right now. My edges are still intact and they're glittery. I got a sequin shirt that my nipples are very dangerously trying to play a game of peekaboo with. Only appropriate. I'm really surprised about my edges because I don't see my own hair. I don't do my own hair, so I forget that it's even under there, but look at it, my edges are still intact. It's truly shocking. But as much of a mess as this first frame already is, I assure you it will get much, much better by the end of this. So welcome along for the ride. Hello, it's Kendall here. If you're new around here, welcome. If you're not new around here, what is up, home skillet biscuit? Happy Saturday. If you don't know what Saturday is when I do a little something on my channel called Bad Movies and a Beat, the series on my channel where I talk about bad movies while putting my makeup on. And I'm gonna be putting a lot on today. It's for the girls. At least that's the plan. We'll see. I never know. That is certainly what we're aiming for today. Last week was quite the conversation starter, which I really, really appreciate, about racism. And usually there's a lot to talk about in regards to that. After we watched a highly racist Korean movie called Hype Nation 3D. It was a hella racist movie out of South Korea with a surprisingly recognizable cast. I'm not going to say much more on that because I talk so much during that video. But if you want to check that out, feel free to watch that up above, or you can check it out in the Bad Movies and a Beat playlist. This week I was subjected to quite the cult classic. And cult classics are fun. Usually fun, sometimes fun, often, rarely fun. But in comparison again to last week, it just couldn't get worse. So I was like, you know what, let's do it. Let's watch this, because why not? The 1995 erotic drama called Showgirls. Hence why I'm a little extra, and hopefully will be very extra by the end of this makeup situation because I'm having fun today. It's an erotic drama about a drifter named Nomi who comes to Vegas in an effort to escape her past and also to rise through the ranks of the Showgirls. And the movie is controversial, to say the least, especially considering it was made in the mid-90s. You know, the Puritans were still very much so a thing. Often they still are, but particularly this movie is very naked, full of fully nude women, queer baiting, and a healthy dose of 90s style potent misogyny. Now, this movie again is a cult classic. I feel like there is a conversation to be had whether or not this movie is simply just exploitative towards the over-sexualizing of women. But I could see also the argument to some extent that it is a very empowering one. Women's sexuality, owning it, commodifying it, finding a place in the world through it. And I'm not saying that is wrong. What I'm saying is they did it in a really shitty movie, so I don't even know if we can claim that. I feel like this particular concept has been done much better than this movie.
I hadn't seen something so perfectly bad in years.
Type of comedy I don't think you can make on purpose, which makes it very rare and valuable.
Now, I had heard of this movie and I had known the general premise of it prior to watching it. I actually found my mom's VHS of it, which is hilarious considering my mother was quite the Puritan. What were you doing watching Showgirls, Mom? I knew it was supposed to be very, very sexual, vaguely about women dancing in Vegas, but I had no interest in watching it, so I just never did. So the thing is, I'm not watching it in this kind of veil of nostalgia that I feel like a lot of my peers watched this movie in. You know, they snuck and watched it when they were small children. I don't have that that connection with it. I just see it as a really poorly written movie. So take that, with a grain of salt. Also, if you love this movie, continue to love it. Again, it's none of my business what you do and don't want. I feel like every once in a while, some people do get truly defensive about the movies that I consider bad and calling them bad through Bad Movies and a Beat. You realize I'm not at the foot of your bed judging you. You really like Ninja Assassin? I don't give a f. You can do whatever you want. But yes, this movie is trash. Now, with that said, it's not completely meritless. It is campishly entertaining at some points. Melodrama moments. Some lines that are so bad that I want to introduce them into my daily mental Rolodex. There's a lot of very, very funny scenes, all of which have to do with her having flounder sex. Like, she literally has sex like a fish out of water, and it is so weird. And it's so disturbing. But more than anything, the thing that this movie gave us, because it didn't give us much, it gave us looks. It gave us look after look after look after look for days. Oh, whoever was the makeup and hair person, that bitch deserves all the accolades. She deserves all the raises. So good. So good. It was so good that I nearly ignored everything in the first viewing of this movie. I couldn't even concentrate. Oh my god, gorgeous. Hair, 90s beats, even like their day-to-day beats, just walking around, just makeup is so good. But alas, I cannot simply ignore everything else that's blaringly stupid about this movie. The film is but a blur of bodies, queer baiting, homoeroticism, and an annoying ass protagonist. By the way, speaking of nakedness, people are more naked than they are clothed in this movie, so be prepared to see a lot of my face. Because after the time I spent blurring out like 150 buttholes in the Skins movie, I'm just simply not going to do it for every titty on screen. I physically can't. This video won't come out. As I said, the story is about a drifter named Nomi. And very swiftly we learn that she is quite the badass. A rough tumble, chip on her shoulder, bombshell beauty with nary a dollar to her name. And she's on her way to Vegas, escaping somewhere, quote, out east. She's going to become a dancer, at least she tells the man that she ends up hitchhiking with. And from the jump, I knew, wow, this bitch is gonna be annoying this whole movie. Like, I knew this immediately because she was like brandishing a weapon at a stranger that she just met. They turn her into this like kind of caricature of radical feminism. The whole movie, she's like cursing at people, spitting at people, threatening to stab people. Hello, I have been sitting here for the last 16 hours editing this damn video, and I have been struggling so hard to really hone in on why I hate her so much as a character. And I'm still struggling to really get my words on it, but there's several reasons. One, because she's a terrible actress. Whoever plays her is really like giving her this undertone of like everything she does is this weird, like childish, entitled complaining with people that are awful, but it's like she's not giving me strong character. It's just like an entitled, skinny, pretty white girl having a tantrum, and it's so annoying. And I don't know if this was supposed to be like admirable, like this is like, yeah, this is what a strong woman looks like. She's just incredibly annoying. I don't know, I could be looking too deeply into it. They probably weren't even trying to make her a deep and interesting character. They just really wanted to have like a knife wielding hot chick. Because obviously when a bunch of men get in a room and say we want to make a tough girl character, you know, the bar is very, very low. But yes, there are a lot of parts of this movie where it's just she's screaming entitlement, especially in comparison to her black friend that she meets later along the way. The black friend is this kind of mild-mannered, gentle soul, and she ends up getting screwed over the worst in this movie. But yeah, from the jump, I was like, yeah, she's gonna get away with a lot of stuff, and lo and behold, I was correct. Speaking of her black friend, let's talk about how they meet. Nomi is taking a ride with this random stranger to hitchhike into Vegas, and he subsequently just leaves her there, takes off with her suitcase and her other belongings, and just leaves her at this casino. After finding out that she's been left here, she starts just banging her fists hilariously. The way she does it, she's just flailing on a random person's car, and comes to find out it is this black girl's car. Her name is Molly, and Molly rightfully is like, get the off my car. Nomi, dramatic and flailing, crying, nearly runs into the street, and here comes Molly to save her. And they have this weird like sexually charged face rub situation. By the way, there's a lot in this movie that obviously makes me uncomfortable now because of like a pandemic. but like would have still been gross to me regardless. Why are y'all rubbing faces with strangers in the middle of the street? The black girl, who's just like this Samaritan, the saint, I guess, sees this drunk woman almost ran into the street. She's like, hey, do you need a place to stay? Do you need food? I will give those things to you. And I'm like even her very like movements as a character is just like annoying bitch flailing. Again, her best friend, who is this black girl who's kind of just trying to get by, who reaches a hand out, is somehow only the supporting piece to this annoying entitled woman. Molly is a seamstress, by the way, for a Vegas Showgirls show called Goddess. She doesn't make much money, so she's living in like a trailer. In this very tiny trailer, invites Nomi to move in with her so that she has a place to stay. And Molly actually invites Nomi to be backstage while she's doing her job for the show. Outside of the hair and makeup, the only, or one of the few saving graces of this film are actually the performances within it. Again, I can't show you any of them because they're all topless. Is this a good replacement? Is it doing it for you? Now, the head of this show is a veteran dancer named Crystal, a charismatic Texan brunette. Ooh, that's a good beat. That's a good. Who is the makeup artist? Jane All. There are no pictures, so I don't know what you look like, girl. But you did it. You did your damn thing. You put your foot, your ankle, your knees, all of the lower half, you put your whole body in it. But anyway, Molly ends up introducing Nomi to Crystal backstage. Nomi informs Crystal that she works at the Cheetah, which is like a strip club. Crystal is pretty quick to kind of mock her.
And I don't know what it is you're good at, but if it's at the Cheetah, it's not dancing, I know that much. You don't know shit.
Which again, I get it. I get you're insulted. I feel like some people are gonna like kind of applaud her for this. And maybe this is just me being a different personality than this. I'm more of a like, look at you like you stupid, or say a smart ass retort, but I'm not gonna, you don't know shit. It's just so childish and annoying to me. Guess what? She's gonna do this to every person of authority in her job, and she's still gonna rise through the ranks. To further cement why this is so annoying to me, afterwards, you have Molly coming out from her job. This was at her job, where she brought a person in and she ends up cussing out essentially her boss while she's on the job. That doesn't look good for her. She's like, bitch, I work here. Chill the fuck out. Like, I work here. And she's like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I do not want her to be pissed at me.
I'm sorry. And then after that, despite her jeopardizing Molly's job, Molly goes to cheer her up, and they go to a club together and go to do what her definition of dancing is. She ends up getting the attention of a black dude who's like, yo, she can't dance. He sees what's deeper within her. He's willing to look deeper within her. I bet I could teach her to dance. By the way, I didn't mention this yet. Just assume any interaction that's happening is very sexually charged. Doesn't matter if it's inappropriate to the time. Everything is just so drastically horny. So just assume any interaction between any two people or more is very sexually charged. So while dancing, he basically says, yo, you can't dance, but my penis enjoys your presence, so I can teach you how to dance. Then she swiftly knees him in the junk, which starts a brawl, which results in her getting placed in jail for the night, let out of jail by the man she kneed in the balls. And he's just cool with her. It's like, yeah, you need me in my balls, but I see potential in you. Like, this whole movie is her having like violent, aggressive, reactive interactions with men that deserve it. I want to clarify, men that are awful. It gives this vibe of like a straight man writing how women should take charge when men are inappropriate. That's the vibe I'm getting. It's this blindsidedness that women can situationally do this shit all the time. They just don't have the balls to do it. But this character, she's just a no holds barred, complete and utter like bombshell hot firecracker.
That's because you're a badass. You got your arms straight out saying, back off, motherfucker.
Yeah, you got that now. Back off, motherfucker.
A real woman gets in a situation like that, she's more concerned about her well-being and like life. So she's more likely to just awkwardly shimmy away. Also, I highly doubt she would often be bailed out by the guy that she hit in the balls. Now, also another thing that happened by proxy of her starting this brawl is that the black dude was actually a bouncer at the club, which means he should have been doing his job anyway. Her starting that brawl resulted in him losing his job, and he's just chill with that. He bails her out, and he's still like, hey, I want to dance with you. And she's like, can't. Goodbye. Back off, motherfucker. And instead of like starting another altercation, it's just like, wow, what a woman. Nomi, back at her job at the strip club, they're about to dance for the crowd, and come to find out, Crystal, Big Texas, done come to the club to see her dance. And again, it was another one of those moments that this would have been gross regardless of situation, but it's even grosser now that we're in a fucking pandemic. Why are you... Ain't enough tetanus. Crystal ends up getting a dance for her man, Zach. I like to call him the hair and lips, because that's the first thing I noticed on him. Wow. He is markedly unattractive to me. I'm sorry. That's just I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that. I'm sorry. Everybody's beautiful to somebody, but they're just not all beautiful to me. I can't show you the scene. I have to explain it. She ends up giving him a lap dance, and Crystal's there watching, and they're just like each other the whole time, but she ends up getting butt naked. Is that how? I've never been to a strip club, especially not one in the 90s. I was still very much so sucking on my own titty at the time. I was born in 95. Having my meals through a titty, so I'm very accustomed to them. But do they like let you be butt naked at a strip club? She gets butt naked at the strip club and just rubbing her coochie on his black clothes. And I'm just sitting there thinking like, yes, gonna... Depending on her pH at the moment, she could stain you. She could bleach you. It's a nice suit. Anyway, she's like grinding on him, right? I can't show you. Oh my God, the pain. She like leans back and she does this like floundering thing where she's like dry humping him by doing this. Whose direction was this? Was this the director said, yeah, do that? Or was this like a thing that was going around? Or is it like she said, I'm gonna have a seizure on that day? Sorry. And afterwards he like comes to completion. That's how to not get demonetized. And they pay her like $500 for this lap dance. I don't know, what's the going rate for lap dances? I'm sure it's less than 500, girl. While this lap dance was going on, the black dude, who they still have not named, by the way, and the only reason I know his name is James. I looked in the credits. They don't verbally say his name for like an hour and a half in the movie. So his name is James. And he somehow stalked her down to her job and watched her through like the curtain dry hump this guy. The next day, James comes to the trailer that Molly and Nomi are staying at, comes to see Nomi, and he tries to further convince her to come dance with and for him. He has a background in dance in New York, and he's very talented, and he wants to teach her to dance, particularly for a show that he's trying to put on that we'll later find out was completely and utterly inspired by her, which is hilarious because they don't know each other. They met once in a club. She kneed him in the groin. He wrote a number about her. Like, come on, girl. And then in the midst of trying to get her to essentially do him a favor, he continually insults her and then like talks to her all accusatory, like, I saw you screw that guy last night.
You took him in the back.
I didn't fuck him.
Yeah, you did. You fucked him and her.
I didn't fuck anybody.
I saw you.
Nigga, who are you? Just like a man, all loud and wrong. And he's basically like, you're better than being a stripper. You should dance with me.
You got too much talent for it to be right.
Get out of here.
Bitch, I'm telling you the truth.
Like, nigga, how did you get this address? How are you popping up at my place of work, my place of business, my home, my residence, and then want to tell me about myself? With the money that she got from dry humping old dude with the hair and the lips, she decides that she wants to put that money towards buying a really nice and expensive dress from Versace, or Versace, as she later mispronounces it. But anyway, she buys this dress V cute. And on their way out, Molly and her see a poster of this musician that Molly really likes, this guy named Andrew. He's gonna be coming to Vegas for a show, and Molly is super duper excited. So later, Nomi ends up getting scouted while at the strip club by someone that wants her to audition for the Showgirls show, Goddess. They saw her performance, saw the passion she had while at the cheetah. She's super excited to get her like dance career actually going, even though she is a bit skeptical because she believes that Crystal had something to do with it. And since their first interaction and then the interaction where she came down to the strip club, you know, they have this kind of unspoken sexually charged animosity towards each other. But yeah, she goes to audition, meets the super sexist director. She makes it down to the final 3, all while of course Crystal is watching and silently judging. And when they get down to the final 3, the guy's like, everybody show me your tits. They're like, what? And he's like, I run a topless show, show me your tits. They each take their tops off. He really creepily and aggressively remarks about how nice her tits are. And then he's like, make your nipples harder. And she's like, excuse me? Well, I'm erect. Why aren't you? I need to keep going. If I if I sit here and mark about every sexist and misogynistic and creepy thing that any man says in this movie, I will never finish. They bring out ice. Rub these on your nips so that they can get harder. And she is completely and utterly offended. You know, she doesn't enjoy, as most women don't enjoy, being treated like a whore. She throws ice in his face and goes running. She runs off in the back, and Crystal basically comes and confirms that she did have something to do with why she got an audition. Again, more weirdly frenemy, sexually charged weirdness. It was very weird. Are y'all trying to smash or not? Like, are you gonna get around to that? Or spoiler, they're gonna do this the whole movie. That is gonna be their thing. Really pointless, sexually charged energy that leads nowhere. On the way out from that audition that presumably isn't gonna go well because she basically told the director to go fuck himself, she runs into the black guy again, James. He's now a bellhop. He's still scouting her for his stupid ass dance thing. God, she's a stranger. Leave her alone. And in so talking to her, he ends up getting fired because he wasn't doing his job. He was talking to her and he's like, I don't give a f.
I'm not working her. I'm talking to her. And you're interrupting my conversation. And that's rude. Now get the f out of here.
And so he leaves with her, buys her a burger, and they go back to his apartment where he shows her his dance for his work that he's been writing, specifically because he met her. He wrote, she was that impactful. Okay, they do this whole like dance thing, again, very sexually charged, which ends in a disgusting, all the kisses, by the way, in this movie are so gross. They're so nasty. Like, they end up having this nasty ass kiss, but they don't have sex because she says she's on her period. And she basically leaves, but before she does, calls out to her like, what are you hiding? You were in some mess back out east, wherever you were before. And she's like, don't worry about it. And just like runs off into the night. Despite not even finishing the audition for Showgirls, she ends up getting the job. Shocker. She is now one of the illustrious dancers in the show Goddess. And she's super excited. She wants to go share the good news with James about how she just got in the show. And when she goes to tell him, he's visibly disappointed because they were supposed to do his show, his number together. And also while she's there, she notices that he has another woman there and she's nude and she's like, oh, what's going on? He basically tells Nomi that she's another person that wants to be a part of the number. And Nomi is visibly upset. He said he wrote the thing for her. I bet he says that to everyone so that they like work with him and have sex with him. I wish y'all could see the chaos of my desk right now because I'm just putting like glitter and glue all over just the flat surface of my desk. There's no art without chaos. So it's time for Nomi to go in and talk to the directors for her new job, learn the ropes. She goes in her new dress, remarks about how she got it from Versace, and it's pretty awkward. But they don't tell her that she mispronounced anything. They just kind of say like, oh yeah, Versace. She runs into Hair and Lips. His name is Zach. She runs into Zach. He's like, oh, your dress is really nice. And she's like, oh, it's from Versace. And he's like, oh, it's pronounced Versace. What I gather is that that's supposed to make him seem like a nice guy. But I saw through that immediately. I was like, oh yeah, no, that's not him. He's an asshole too. So it's time for Nomi's first rehearsal, and it's a grueling experience. But the reason why she's working so hard is apparently they're just gonna put her in a show after her first rehearsal. Just like throw her ass out there. Damn, you can't give her like at least a week? Like, nah. Nope, they just throw her ass out there. But yeah, she goes out there, has a few blunders, but overall has a pretty good performance. Zach sends her flowers to congratulate her on her first night, and she takes those flowers and she leaves out, and she ends up running into James. And that is where he gives his oh so convincing explanation on why he was with another woman. Not that he really needs to explain anything to her.
I have a problem with pussy. I always have, and I'm always gonna. But I meant what I said to you.
He gets jealous because he realizes that Zach, with the lips and the hair, sent her flowers. The next day, Crystal is in a fret. She's in a fret, bitch. She's in a moment. And they end up going to lunch together to, for all intents and purposes, bury the hatchet, I guess. They both have this weird connection over how they both used to eat dog food in their youth. Y'all made for each other. Both fucking weirdos. They have a bunch of very homoerotic conversation that is obviously written by a straight man. They just talk about tits and how they like tits. And they have nice tits. It's so stupid. People make fun of me because I get so impassioned about sex scenes in movies because they're often so bad. And it's not because I want to see sex. I don't go to a movie, like a regular movie, to watch good sex. That's not what I'm there for. But I do find when you have a movie that is not pornographic technically, but it still simultaneously is so dependent on like sexually charged conversations, scenes, it starts to make me feel like, well, what did you make it for if the sex isn't there, if it isn't good, if it isn't of quality, so much of this movie is dependent on it, then what is the point of me being here? This is a perfect example of that, because this movie is a big old 2-hour queer baiting ball of bull. They will go back and forth, talk about tits, talk about like feeling on each other and staring longingly at each other and yada yada yada, and they do it for 2 hours. They don't have sex. I'm just gonna ruin it for you. For anybody that was waiting for them to have sex. They don't have sex. They share one truly and utterly foul kiss scene at the end of the movie. And that's it. Again, I'm not sitting there saying, hurry up and smash. But if the whole movie is about how they're all horny for each other, get to it. Otherwise, I'm just sitting here for no reason. Like, what is the point of this movie is what I'm getting at. Very weird to me. It feels very much so like a straight man wants to see some lesbianisms while simultaneously be incredibly homophobic. So they're not actually gonna show a functioning like gay relationship. It's just stupid. I don't know how to say that in any other nicer way. This is dumb. By the end of the movie, the only person she ends up having sex with is a straight white man. Not even the black dude. She doesn't even have sex with the black dude. One of the directors goes up to Nomi and suggests that she ends up working at this kind of convention show as a representative of the hotel that hosts Goddess, and she agrees to do it. It's gonna pay $1,000 and she's super excited. All she has to do is dance fully clothed on top of like a boat or something. Before she takes it, Molly actually says, hey, don't take it. Don't take it. I know some girls that went and did it and they really regretted it. Don't do it. But does she listen? No. And she goes to the trade show, and while she's there, the director guy is basically alluding to they should all go somewhere afterwards and have sex with his Japanese associate from Thailand. He has a Japanese name, but they say it's from Thailand. Not that he couldn't be both of those things, but I also wouldn't be surprised if racism was also a factor. Nomi is completely and utterly offended. Angry, she goes back. She finds Zach and Crystal in a robe. That's a nice ass robe. I want one. Nomi tells Zach that the director proposed that she did something unsavory. And he like goes and reprimands him, and he's like, oh, why would you ever do that? You're not gonna talk to any of the dancers that way ever again, yada yada yada, you know, this whole performance. And he ends up calling him later and being like, I'm just joking, dude, it's fine. Art and life, you know what I mean? This next part is actually is interesting the word I want to use. I haven't mentioned this, but all throughout the movie, there's been like an ongoing tiff, if you will, between a dark-skinned black dancer at Goddess and let me check my notes, a white woman with box braids. They get into several altercations before several shows. They obviously are not fans of each other. Essentially, their entire arc is that the black woman is irritated. That is her thing. She's dark skinned and irritated. Box braid Becca. Knotless Nancy. Senegalese twist Sally. Takes some beads and throws them on the floor. And then it ends up tripping up the dancer and she falls, ends up breaking her knee and is out of commission. And Sister Lock Sally over here is like, oh my God, what happened? Wow, she's gonna be out for a minute. The dark-skinned girl was actually Crystal's understudy. And so when she broke her knee, you need a new understudy. So what do? They're gonna start doing auditions. Nomi and Zach end up having sex. And it is, more of that like flounder boogie. Very like tuna taking its last breath. Next day, he lets her know that they will be having auditions for the dark-skinned black girl who hurt her knees spot. Now, because she's the main character of this movie, who do you think gets it? Definitely Nomi. And now Crystal's a little peeved because she's like, wow, you had sex with her, didn't you? And he's like, are you mad that I did, or are you mad that I got to her first? Crystal goes up to her and she's like, wow, you smashed him to get the spot. And she's like, first of all, I didn't even know it was a spot. James finally ends up finishing his dance number that he's been talking about this whole damn time. He just gets some other white girls to do it. Nomi comes to visit when he's performing, and the audience doesn't much like his performance, which isn't fair. It was pretty good. James is still an asshole, but he's even more so one to this new girl.
Do you want something to drink?
Yeah, get me a beer, bitch.
My nigga looks like an afterthought, and he's over here yelling at these girls, go get him something. What the hell? But apparently she's cool with him talking to her like that. They're engaged because she's pregnant, and Nomi kind of asks, like, are you good with that? Is that what you want? And he's like, I don't know, but she having a baby, so nobody liked our dancing, so I'm just gonna give up on my dream of being a dancer and get married to this chick I don't love and have a baby I don't want. And that's essentially the end of his storyline. So back at the Showgirls, Nomi's not able to do the position as understudy. And apparently it was because Crystal said, if she's my understudy, I'll walk. You know, she brought her lawyers in and everything. And, you know, Nomi's pretty pissed about it. She goes to tell her off and Crystal's like, you can do my nails now, you little whore. She doesn't say that exactly, but that's the vibe, you know. Oh, not me trying to line my lips and talk at the same time. They have the show, you know, very like sexy S&M, maybe meets biker punk situation, titties out, of course, so I can't show it to you, I'm just describing. And at the end of that, Nomi says this bitch can catch these hands and pushes her down a flight of stairs, at the bottom of which she has a broken hip, fracturing her knee or something like that. And everybody's like, what happened? Who was behind her? What happened? And here comes crochet braid Carrie. I saw her, she tripped. And now effectively Nomi is prima ballerina. She is the head of the Showgirls. And Molly's like, Nomi's lying. She definitely pushed her. I definitely saw that. But she doesn't say anything, but she does later confront Nomi. And she's like, girl, did you push her? And she's like, no, I didn't push her. She fell. I did not push her. I did not push her. And that ends up taking like a big toll on their friendship. Not really. Nothing takes a big toll on anything for Nomi. She gets away with everything. Because Molly eventually just believes her. She's like, okay, you say you didn't do it, whatever. Nomi ends up inviting Molly to a party where she can see her favorite musician, that guy that I talked about very briefly at the beginning of the movie, named Andrew. Nomi comes into the party with a fucking fit. She comes in with the fit and a half. That was cute as shit. Anybody want to link me? Give me this outfit, by the way, plus size, friendly, thank you. At some point, Micro Braids Mary comes up to her and is like, hey, can I be your understudy? You know, hinting that like, there's always somebody trying to take your place. That's kind of the vibe of this whole thing. It's like, there's always someone, which is so interesting hearing now in 2021, because you never really hear that rhetoric as much, especially in relation to women. There's a lot less of this like, let's fight each other for this like finite amount of spaces, and more like, let's uplift each other. I love that. I love that we've gone away from this. Let's continue to not do this. Okay, so the next scene, trigger warning, it's about sexual assault, rape, and also a rant, because I'm gonna get to ranting. Like I said, Molly was really into this musician. His name is Andrew. Basically, he takes her in the back and he ends up very graphically and very brutally sexually assaulting her. I really wish somebody would have warned me. It was very triggering, and I don't even have a history with like sexual assault, so I can only imagine. And they show all of it, and it's just really a lot. She's gonna be in the hospital for an extended period of time, and I start to get very, 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 very irritated when I saw this scene, because like seriously, the only good person, one, gets brutally sexually assaulted, but also like one of the few black women. No one else gets sexually assaulted in this movie, but she just had, it was very triggering to me because it wasn't, I know women that look just like her, and that just really bothered me. It almost made me turn it off. And so subsequent times that I saw the movie afterwards in the process of making this video, I just skipped the scene entirely. Like I physically can't watch it. Yeah, no one warned me about that, so I'm gonna warn you, for anyone that may perhaps want to watch the movie, that scene's a lot. I don't know how to explain it, and I don't know if I have the right words to really explain the complicated relationship I have with this scene, especially considering the context of the whole movie. Black girl is just minding her own business, and she gets the worst treatment out of everyone in this movie, and I can't help but kind of wonder, like, what was your moral there? Like, it gives this vibe of like, if you were more badass, if you were more strong, you wouldn't be attacked like this. That's the vibe I was getting. Because Nomi, the whole movie, is telling people to go fuck themselves, is pushing, back the fuck up. That's the reason. Like, you need to be more like Nomi to not get brutally assaulted. That was kind of the vibe I was getting. I am known to think too seriously into movies, and a lot of people like to call this movie quite campish, not to be taken too seriously, but like I don't feel like that's possible to not take something seriously when sexual assault is like added to the mix. Wasn't really understanding why they used it in this context outside of turning, you know, Nomi into this warrior who's gonna go and beat up the bad guy because she has the ability to. Am I making sense? I'm just mad for no reason, I guess. Whatever. So after she's brutally sexually assaulted, Nomi's like, hey, so where's the police at? And Zach basically tells her they're not coming because he's a star, he makes too much money, and we're not gonna do anything bad for our business. She can have some money in a settlement, she can have her own little dress store or whatever, but we're not gonna do anything to him. Again, art representing life, you know? She's like, I'm gonna call the police. And Zach is like, no, you're not, because we did a background check on you. As if they would have just now been doing that, even though she's been working there for months. Your father killed your mother in a murder-suicide, and you escaped different foster homes, arrested many a time for soliciting an assault with deadly weapons. We know all about you. And then at the end, Zach basically asks her, like, how much did you charge when you used to whore yourself out, you whore? And she tells him, and he's like, oh, you need to have higher self-esteem. You're a fantastic Yikes. Sorry, I just caught a glimpse of myself. Damn, this is a look. Sorry. And she like spits on him a lot. She had a lot of fluid in her mouth. She decides to take revenge into her own hands because none of us saw that coming. And she gets dressed up in a cute outfit because you have to be sexy when you go beat the shit out of somebody. She goes to that musician's place, ends up beating the crap out of him while topless with lipstick around her nipples. They never explain that, and it's completely unsatisfying at all because one, he's still alive at the end of this, and two, Molly was assaulted by several men, and those men were like his bodyguards, so they're like outside of the room. Nothing happened to them. They didn't get their ass beat. This ain't justice. Like I personally am a fan of more movies about mentally, physically torturing rapists. Again, I'm still waiting for Rosalie's story from Twilight. They still ain't gave me that yet. This wasn't no victory. This ain't do shit. And then she goes over to Molly, who's like half conscious because she's basically in a medicated coma. I beat the shit out of him. And I guess there we go. Now her problems are over. So she just says peace and she plans to leave Vegas. Before she leaves, she decides, she's still in the hospital. She decides to visit Crystal. Crystal, who is in the hospital from her broken body parts, basically. Nomi gives this kind of bland, I'm sorry. And Crystal's like, it's fine. I needed a break. He's like, it's fine, I needed a rest, you know, and I'm getting a great settlement from the hotel for falling. It's cool. And now, of course, all is forgiven. They share that disgusting kiss I was talking about. Oh my God, I hate when straight men write anything. And she's like, peace. She ends up getting her going back on the road to hitchhike. And lo and behold, she ends up hitchhiking with the same guy she hitchhiked with in the very beginning of the movie. And she's like, I want my fucking suitcase. As she travels, this time on her way to Los Angeles. And that is the end of the movie. Rubbish. Garbage. A true testament to like privilege. White, pretty, skinny, blonde privilege. Astoundingly bad. My issue largely with this movie is that you can tell it's like a women's empowerment movie made by obviously straight white men. In no way is this empowering at all. And it has nothing to do with like the amount of sex and nudity. Again, that's just not my thing. Again, I don't want to watch a movie to watch pornography. I would just watch pornography. I don't like this like in between thing. The entire movie is just a big ass stereotype about women being catty and fighting against each other. All of the men in this movie are just terrible, but very few of them actually get any repercussions for being terrible. The only one that gets slightly one is one that explicitly, aggressively sexually assaulted someone. But everybody else is just an asshole and they get away with it. And then the main character, who is just awful. She's just so annoying. The reason why she's not taken advantage of is because she's a badass. You know, everybody else that gets screwed over by patriarchy is just because you're not tough enough. And then outside of that, she's just very flat, one-dimensional, and just uninteresting. And another thing is that Nomi didn't learn a damn thing. She starts off doing one thing, and by the end of the movie, she's still doing that same thing. I don't know what the point of this was. What was why did we do this? Just to see some queer baiting and titties along the way? I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed.
Now, in fairness, I guess I should take a moment and really talk about how no one watches this movie and watches it in any serious undertone. People watch this movie because it's so astoundingly bad. Acting is so atrocious. The writing is so atrocious. The lines are just terrible. I do believe that there's a sizable amount of people that just watch it because it's so comically bad, and I totally get that. Granted, there are some art people that get on my last fucking nerves and try to like look deeper in it and like it's supposed to be like a satirical look on hyper misogyny in the entertainment and the sex industry, and I'm like, bitch, shut up. They made a shit movie and now you're trying to turn it into something that is not. It's not satire. They made a movie, and any social commentary that came from it was completely and utterly accidental.
I feel like this movie is ripe for being remade though. I feel like from a 2021 lens would be very interesting. Hopefully directed by like a woman. Also a woman in like LGBTQ community would also probably be a lot better. But yeah, this movie is garbage. But what it didn't have in like interesting characters or character development, interesting dialogue, it did make up for it with a fucking beat. Drop the brush, I'm done.
I can't leave yet. So apparently they made a documentary kind of talking about the cultural impact of Showgirls. As I'm recording this, it's already past 2 p.m. on Saturday, so I don't have time to watch it before this video goes out. So how about this? I'm going to watch it. I will go back into the comments at some point in this next week and kind of do my thoughts. Maybe my thoughts would change. Maybe this was more of the feminist wonderkind that some people claim that it is. And I'll get back to you. We'll see.
Y'all don't know how hard it was to do that last damn button. That's all for today, folks. My under eye is very temperamental. It's probably gonna flake off as I'm talking. If you like this video, be sure to like this video. Follow me on all my social media, Instagram and Twitter, both of which are KennieJD. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.